Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We'll talk Saints, Ravens, no doubt, but bigger issue at hand. Michael Thomas's injury done for the year. Mike, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing, Matt?
I'd be doing much better if Michael Thomas wasn't done for the year.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. I guess just update us with what you know at this point.
Well, I mean, I don't know too many intricate details about the injury and what went wrong when they originally were hoping maybe it would be a 2-week injury, and then it ended up requiring surgery. If you take it at face value, though, that's the information that we've gotten both privately and publicly, is they didn't put him on IR originally because they were hoping it could be the type of injury that he could be back with in a matter of 3 weeks or so if it got better and it wouldn't require surgery. And after whatever it is now, 5+ weeks, it wasn't getting better. And Dennis Allen said after the latest MRI, they ultimately decided surgery was the way to go to make this thing finally get right, and that they don't expect him to play again this year. Now, we can get into conspiracy theories. Was he misdiagnosed? Is he too particular about his body now after the last one went so awry? Those things I can't answer for you, but obviously they were hoping for the rehab route, and now they're going the surgery route, and that's bad news for Mike Thomas and the Saints.
Mike, is there... everyone's asking now, okay, what do you do with Mike Thomas? You have a guy who's approaching 30. His body is breaking down on him. He's got this huge contract. So what do you do with Mike Thomas?
Well, so here's how it works financially. If you just say, we're cutting you, that's it, we're done with you, he's going to count $25 million against your salary cap next year. If you keep him exactly as he is and say, let's do this for another year, he's going to count $28 million against your salary cap next year. So there is no scenario where they just get away scot-free and clear up their cap next year. But the real football decision they're going to have to make is he's due a $15.5 million salary plus some bonuses that bring it to $16.5 million next year. In 2023 cash money, $16.5 million. So they will have to decide, how healthy is he? How much do we trust that he can stay healthy? How much do we want him on our team? Do we want to pay him $16.5 million? That seems pretty far-fetched to me. Obviously, that's half the price that some receivers are making now, but we don't know what Michael Thomas is going to be next year, and we don't know if he can stay healthy. So I would think the conversation is probably, will you take a pay cut, or will you turn a large portion of that salary into incentives that you can only meet if you're healthy and you reach them, or do they just plain release him? I bet those two are more likely than keeping him at full price.
That's interesting. Boy, swallowing a $25 million dead cap number is just that's painful to think, but it's the situation they're in. Mike, I guess the good news is in the immediate short term, this really doesn't matter because you hadn't had Michael Thomas anyway. So, I mean, obviously you're better with a healthy Michael Thomas, but you haven't had him, and you won't have him now, So now you turn the page to Baltimore, and you look at how you try to keep pace in an awful division, which clearly it looks like they can do. What offensively that you see has changed that is working so well now?
Well, first of all, I said this even before I knew that Michael Thomas was going to have surgery. When we didn't see him on the field today and we were doing our roll call, I turned to Nick Underhill or whoever else was standing next to me, and I said, thank God this team made the trade it did for Chris Olave. Because the fact that we're going on like week 6 that they're not going to have Michael Thomas, and we don't know yet if Jarvis Landry's going to return, although he was back on the field today. The fact that, their season doesn't seem to hang in the balance while waiting for those guys to come back each week because they still have a pretty good offense. Chris Olave is the main reason why. He's emerged as a bona fide number one receiver. You're right, a healthy Michael Thomas probably would have been number one, and Chris Olave would have been an incredible number two. But That's amazing how much Chris Olave has been able to mean to this team right away as a rookie, and that's the first answer to your question. And I also said, all those other guys, Tre'Quan Smith, Marquez Callaway, Deontay Hardy, before he got hurt, Rashid Shaheed now, they weren't good enough to be your 1, 2, and 3, but they're perfectly capable of being a 3, 4, and 5. And if you get Jarvis Landry back, what a bonus that would be. Whatever Taysom Hill and Juwan Johnson can give you, and maybe Adam Troutman as pass-catching tight ends, it's a world better than it was last year, that's for sure. And obviously, Alvin Kamara is the number one guy you feed the most in the passing game, and I think Andy Dalton's been a really good quarterback at getting the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands in the passing game.
And certainly when your defense does not allow a point, you're going to win a lot.
That helps, too.
You're going to win a lot.
That helps.
Yeah, you're going to win a lot, man. Any reason to believe they can keep doing that?
Well, Lamar Jackson's going to provide quite a test, because even if this was last year's Saints defense that was playing so phenomenal in the second half of the season, even if this was any Saints defense from 2017 through 2021, when they were one of the best defenses in the NFL, they've had problems with mobile quarterbacks. The worst problems coming against Jalen Hurts, obviously, and not just that the quarterback runs for yards, but that the running back standing next to the quarterback seems to go nuts too. That we saw that again in Week 1 with Marcus Mariota and Cordero Patterson. So I think they did a little bit better job of containing Kyler Murray a few weeks ago, although they still gave up too many big plays against that team. So I worry about this matchup a little, but I do trust some of the gains we've seen in the Saints secondary, and a lot of that has to do with their improved health, getting Alontae Taylor, Paulson Adebo, and now P.J. Williams all back in the last 3 weeks. And Baltimore doesn't scare you too much in the passing game, other than Mark Andrews, who's an injury question mark himself. They don't have the threats that make you fear are going to, get those big plays over the top. It's all about stopping Lamar Jackson in this one.
Do you think they can do it?
Sure. I mean, first of all, the NFL is so weird this year that I rarely look at the opponent and think the Saints are going to win or lose because the opponent is just unbeatable. Although at Philadelphia later this year might be a different story.
Yeah.
But there's nothing unbeatable about the Baltimore Ravens. And I was really encouraged by what I saw. I'll tell you what, my most pessimistic take on the Saints before last week was, even when they get healthy, even when they fix some of the sloppy mistakes they made earlier this year, I didn't know how high their ceiling was. I thought they were going to have to win games like, the Cincinnati game they should have won, hang on to it in the end and play just well enough to win. I didn't really know their ceiling was as high as what we saw the other day. So that's really encouraging. If the Saints play anywhere close to that level, they can beat just about everyone on their schedule.
If you take the sort of the 10,000-foot view, Mike, I am curious your thoughts on sort of the path for New Orleans. Obviously, it would have been great if Carolina didn't completely spit the bit at the end of that game, but your game out. So let's take the 10,000-foot view and look at a path that's realistic for this team to maybe win this division.
Well, I think 9-8 will be really hard to get to, but I think 8-9 is realistic. And I think 8-9 could win the division. I still think Tampa Bay is the biggest wild card, even though Atlanta's winning the division at 4-4. Tampa Bay might still have the highest ceiling of any team. But look, if they get to 8-9 by beating Atlanta and sweeping Atlanta, then they win a tiebreaker at 8-9. I mean, it's an actually realistic possibility, and it feels like a little bit of a joke to say, hey, we can still win this division, guys, but I think 8-9 might win this division.
Let's roll. I'm in. I'm in. Let's go. Look, in 2014, we saw Carolina win it at 7-8-1. I mean, let's go. Let's do it.
And then they won a playoff game, too.
They did, in fact, win a playoff game. Oddly. And look, and the Saints were on the wrong side of one in 2010 against a 7-9 Seattle team. So let's go.
If you win your division with a losing record, you win your first playoff game, too. History tells us that.
I know, it's crazy. I think the only time it didn't happen, though, Mike, was the COVID year, 2020. Washington won the NFC least at 7-9 and lost to Tampa in the wild card round.
They put up a
They did.
fight in that game, though.
They did. I won a lot of money with Washington and the points in that game. Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our interviews with Mike are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash every week. Benny'sCarWash.com. Man, you can get unlimited oil changes or unlimited car washes. Unlimited car washes at Benny's Car Wash. Go join the membership club. The Wash Club memberships are incredible, and you also get discounts on gas at the Be Quick stores. It's Benny'sCarWash.com. Benny'sCarWash.com. All right, Mike, we appreciate it as always, man. Hopefully next week less eventful, but hopefully we're talking about a Saints win and a team that maybe is pulling even in the division.
It's always more enjoyable to talk about the occasional Saints win instead of just the what's wrong and who's to blame questions, right?
We were getting way too many of those. So, yes, this is way more fun. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.